Okay, so today we're going to start chapter 3. We're going to learn about identifying pairs of lines and angles. So more pairs. We already saw supplementary, complementary, vertical, linear pairs. Now we're going to find out about some new angle pairs. So first thing we have to do is learn the difference between a parallel line and a skew line. Parallel lines are coplanar lines that do not intersect. They're lines, they run side by side, and they're never going to cross. Skew lines, they're non-coplanar, so they're not in the same plane, that are neither parallel nor intersecting. So again, just like at the beginning when I talked about like my tissue box to show you like the parallel planes and things like that, again, remember you could have parallel lines, like the edges of these, they're parallel, they don't touch. And then like an example of a skew line would be the line that's here, and then say this one that's going up and down. They're in the same, they're non-coplanar, and this one runs this way and this one runs up and down. And they're not going to intersect, and they're non-coplanar. So they're not parallel, and they're not intersecting. If you want to think about the classroom, think about that imaginary line where the ceiling and the wall meet, and then over in the corner, or back there in the corner, going up and down. They're not going to touch because this one runs this way, and then in the corner it would go up and down. So they don't touch, and they're not parallel. And that would be an example of skew lines. Everybody good on this slide? No. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, next we're going to talk about parallel planes, and these are planes that do not intersect. So we could talk about the ceiling and the floor. They're parallel and they don't intersect. Okay, or my tissue box, the back and the front, side and side, top and bottom. That would be an example of some parallel planes. Planes that do not intersect. Let's name some parallel planes from this picture. Can someone name me, and first of all, how do we name parallel planes? Or actually, how do we name a plane?
With any 3 points around it.
Good. Name me a plane on there.
Plane ABH.
ABH, okay, he's talking like the top piece. And what would that be parallel to?
It would be parallel to plane DCE.
Good, DCE, the bottom. Now, in your textbook, if you happen to look for examples in that, you could also name the plane with all 4 letters. But generally, all you need are 3 non-collinear points to name a plane. Okay, you could also name, say, the sides here. Like this plane, parallel to this plane. And you could name it with AG, AGD, and then over here, HBC. So, and then parallel is represented with 2 straight lines. That's not the number 11 here, that's just meaning the parallel planes. So we could say that those are parallel to that. Okay, everybody good on this slide? All right, postulates, here we go. We have the parallel postulate and the perpendicular postulate. So if there is a line and a point not on the line, then there is exactly one line through the point parallel to the given line. The perpendicular postulate states if there is a line and a point not on the line, then there is exactly one line through the point perpendicular to the given line. next we're going to talk about a transversal. And a transversal is a line that intersects two or more coplanar lines in different points. So the line that's going straight up and down, line M, in this picture is my transversal line. So this is the transversal. So it's a line that intersects two or more coplanar lines. And it's intersecting at different points. I'm going to add some information to this slide after everybody fills in what they need to. When we have two coplanar lines, and those two coplanar lines are intersected by a transversal, it creates 8 angles in this picture. Of these 8 numbers that are on here, some of them are considered interior angles, and 4 of them are considered exterior angles. So if you think of the two coplanar lines, so this line and this sign, think of it like a fence of a backyard, okay? And if you enclosed it, the 4 numbers inside that red area are the interior angles. And the ones outside of those coplanar lines would be the exterior angles. So if we were to list the interior angles, we would say that they are angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, and angle 6. These are the interior angles. Think of the coplanar lines as like fences. If you wanted to add 2 more lines up there, that would be inside the fences. Okay, then the exterior angles, they would be angle 1, angle 2, angle 7, and angle 8. Those are outside of the coplanar lines. They're not in that red box. Right now, they're just introducing you to how the angle pairs are created, which ones are inside, which ones are outside. Later on, we're going to learn about more different names about congruency, but the lines have to be parallel. Right now, all we're talking are coplanar lines. Everybody good? Let's see the next slide. Okay, now what we're going to talk about are alternate interior angles and alternate exterior. Now, we've already determined which ones were interior, correct? Those interior ones, like if I were to close this off, my inside angles or my interior angles were 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, the word alternate, what that means is like opposite. So we're looking for 2 inside angles, 2 interior angles that are on opposite sides of my transversal here, but they're not adjacent. Okay, so for example, I couldn't say 3 and 4 are alternate interior because they're adjacent. So the ones that would be alternate interior could be 3 and 6. Those are alternate interior. And then the other pair of alternate interior would be 4 and 5.
Teachers and students, pardon the interruption. At this time, all members of the cross-country team should be dismissed from class. Again, at this time, all members of the cross-country team should be dismissed.
My alternate interior, again, the interior angles again were 3, 4, 5, 6, but opposite sides of that red transversal would be 3 and 6. That would be together, and then 4 and 5. Now let's do the alternate exterior, the angles that are outside, but on opposite sides of the transversal. Okay, so what would be alternate exterior to 1? Alternate exterior to angle 1 up here. Manuel? 8, good. So 1 and 8. What would be alternate exterior to angle 2? 7.
Question.
Yes.
Why wouldn't they call them like vertical alternate interior angles because they're vertical?
but they're not, because vertical have to be on opposite sides of, like this. So they're not really vertical because they don't share a vertex. See, like 3 and 6, there's no vertice that's in common. All right, so they're alternate interior.
So like 2 and 3 would be a vertical angle?
Correct. Now, when we start seeing these 8 angles in relation to parallel lines, what we're going to be able to do is figure out all of the angle measures. And we're going to think of it sort of like a puzzle, okay? But that's not today. Right now we're just learning how to name them and which ones are inside, which ones are outside, which ones are alternate interior, alternate exterior. Again, for these angle pairs we're talking about, these alternate interior and alternate exterior, they cannot be adjacent when you name them. And they have to be on opposite sides of the transversal. Everybody good so far?
Yeah.
All right, let's go on. The next vocabulary word here, or angle pair, is a same side interior angle and corresponding angles. So again, if I were to draw and close my coplanar lines, my interior angles again here are 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, interior angles on the same side of the transversal, so again, here's my transversal. What would be 2 angles that are inside and on the same side of the transversal? Jason?
Angle 3 and 5.
3 and 5 match together. Good. Because they are on the same side of the transversal and they're both inside. They're both interior. And then on the other side of the transversal, what would be the 2 same side interior? 4 and 6. Okay, now we're going to talk about corresponding angles. Now, corresponding angles, they're still on the same side of the transversal. And here the definition is 2 angles in corresponding positions relative to the 2 lines. Now, basically what you can think of as corresponding is one's inside, one's outside, but if you go by the definition, I can show you a little trick to how you can remember. Let's say we draw a box around the 4 angles. Now, think of like number 1, it's up in the top left corner. Angle 2 is in the top right corner. Angle 3 is in the bottom, and so on. So corresponding, if you want to think of it that way, angle 1 that's in this top left corner is going to match with angle 5, which is in the top left corner here. So we could say that angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. Okay, and we can do this with all 4 of them. So angle 2 would match with what? Good. And then angle 3 would match with? Good. And then 4 would match with 8. Now, you could also think of it as it's on the same side of the transversal. Some books will define this as one is exterior and one is interior, being on the same side of the transversal. And again, they couldn't be adjacent. Yes?
Like 1 and 7 wouldn't be corresponding angles, right?
No, because they're not both in the same spot. They're not up in that like upper quadrant.
Oh, it has to be with their coplanar lines, like on the same spot of each of the 4?
Yes. So again, if you'd rather think of them as one has to be inside, an exterior angle, one has to be an interior, and they can't be adjacent. So like 1 and 3 couldn't be corresponding because they're next to each other. But you could say 1 and 5 because one's outside and 5's inside. So there's more than one way to identify these. Or just think of you jump over one on the same side. Everybody good on this slide? So, okay, so you're going to have to be able to identify all of these angle pairs. Alternate exterior, alternate interior, same side interior, and corresponding angles. Let's go on to the next slide. So now we have some true false based on what we just discussed. So true or false, a transversal intersects only parallel lines. True or false?
False.
Good, false. They just had to be coplanar lines. So this one is false. Perfect. All right, skew lines are not coplanar. True. Good. They're not in the same plane, and they're not intersecting, and they're not parallel. If two lines are coplanar, then they are parallel. Good. False. They could be intersecting lines. All right, last one. If two lines are parallel, then exactly one plane contains them. True. Good. Go back to your postulates on that one. Everybody good on the true false? All right, let's go ahead and identify some angle pairs from this picture. Okay, so can someone give me a pair of alternate interior angles? This time the picture's drawn differently. Okay, my transversal here is this way. All right, so Kelly, what's a pair of alternate interior?
3 and 6.
Okay, 3 and 6, good. The other Kelly now.
2 and 7.
Okay, so 3 and 6 and 2 and 7, beautiful. All right, can someone give me a pair of same side interior? Alexa.
Angle 2 and 6.
Good. Okay, wait, the transversal's different. It's got to be on the same side of the transversal. I highlighted the transversal in red.
2 and 3.
Good, 2 and 3. Okay, can someone give me the other pair of same side interior? Isabella.
6 and 7.
Good. Everybody good so far? Now we'll do the corresponding. If you want to draw the boxes around the 4 numbers, if that helps you to see them. We're going to have 4 pairs here. Can someone give me one of the pairs? Paulina. Valentina.
1 and 3.
1 and 3. Somebody else. Jason.
2 and 4.
2 and 4. Somebody else? Kelly Hastings.
5 and 7.
5 and 7. And Isabella.
8 and 6.
Which one?
8 and 6.
8 and 6. Good. Good? Perfect. All right. And that is the lesson. We're not getting into the congruencies yet. It's just a matter of being able to identify where these angles exist in your picture once you have 2 coplanar lines that are intersected by a transversal.